The dream of the planet is an interesting place to say it. It's perfect because that's the way it is. It's what exists at this very moment. Yes, there's a lot of distortion and there's a lot of lies. But you also have to understand that the world we live in is brand new. You see, information is readily available, unlike we've never seen in human history. You can say that as long as I can have something in my pocket, I press a button, I can find out what's happening all around the world with just one click or whatever smartphone I have. I can know right now as much as I can. We get to see the dark side of the Dream Planet faster, and it feels like it's getting worse and worse and worse. Well, the truth of the matter is that it's only getting worse because it's the first time we ever see it firsthand. If you look at history, when the first war photographs of the Civil War came to the newspapers during the Victorian age, all the dead corpses around this beautiful country, and people saw pictures of the dead for the first time en masse, people were shocked. Fast forward almost 100 years later, and then you have Vietnam right in your screen live. People were saying, this is the worst we've ever had it. Now, we don't even need a TV, because back then, it was just a few networks controlling the information we receive. Now, we're bombarded with it. So what's happening in the world is what's always been happening. The only difference is that it's happening to a level that we've never had before, which is we know almost like that what is happening. Imagine the internet during the Holy Inquisition. Imagine the internet when the world ended for Mesoamerica, when the Spanish came to Cuba, to Mexico. Well, what we know as Mexico back then was Tenochtitlan and the Mayan civilization, the Incas. Can you imagine what CNN and Fox News and NPR and everyone would say about it? And the blogs are something incredible. The thing about blogs is that you have to be able to give it such scrutiny, because we are conditioned to believe everything we see in print, because in journalism, there's supposed to be this fact check, and before you print it, you have to go through the channels to fact check, then it'll publish. Well, in blogs, they have the luxury of not even going through that. You know, it's like understanding that Wikipedia, if you read everything you read in Wikipedia, you have to read it with a grain of salt. It's something that we're not used to. We're not used to reading so much and not give it that scrutiny it deserves. And everyone's saying, believe me, believe me, believe me, I am right. And of course, what we're attracted to tends to be poison. All you need to know for that is that in every news article, you have to read a comic. It could be the most simplest, innocent article, and then you see all the people chatting underneath it, and you see a lot of poison. You're seeing information travel at a first rate, and something that's happening in humanity is happening at a faster rate. We share compassion, we share love, we share poison, and we share anger. We pay attention to what we're attracted to. If we want to get angry, all we have to do is look for those pages that'll get us all mad. If we want to be happy, we just gravitate to those pages that make us happy. You see, theoretically, ignorance should have died with so much information being available to us. But instead, we gravitate to what makes us safe. We're getting more and more and more like this. And that's normal, actually, because we gravitate to what makes us safe, to what we know. So the question, you can say that the reason why I say compassion and tolerance is because we live in information where our ideas can go like that. Just look at YouTube. Like that. Viral. Like that. A mistake. Someone takes a picture of you when you're getting drunk and you get sick in your bathroom. Someone takes a picture, they put it on Facebook or whatever, and goes viral. So we can say it's the time where as individuals, we either gravitate to believe it quickly because that's what we want to believe it, or we give it a sense of scrutiny. It's a new way of relating to humanity. Yes, there's injustice in the world. Yes, there's pollution. Yes, there's all these things. But do you know what it was like to walk the streets of London in the 1700s, the 1600s, when there was no sewage system? I think, in my point of view, things are getting better. Actually, 50 years ago, well, me and my wife, she is Caucasian, and I'm of Mexican descent, and it would have been probably illegal for me to have married in certain states 60 years ago, even 100 years ago. And things have changed. People have stood up. People have raised their voice for the good. And that's the thing. We always forget that this whole idea of free will, of that freedom, is new. 300 years ago, you have no choice but to fight. If the king wanted to go to war and you didn't want to lose what you have, you went to war. You had no choice. The feudal system was harsh. There were people who were slaves and never had even choice. That exists now. This ability to have free choice is brand new. We've always had it, of course. But in my point of view, this is the golden age of humanity. And it is our freedom of choice that's going to guide us in the life we create. So you can say, yes, the dream of a planet may be horrible, may be ugly, but unlike I've never had before as a human being, I have the complete choice of making my personal heaven. Another great thing about my father and my grandmother is that both of them were the first in their generation of family to share. Don Ezequiel, my great-great-grandfather, didn't have that luxury. He had to teach in secret. He would talk about Quetzalcoatl and Quetzalcoatl. They would call him a witch, a brujo, and cast him out and see him. You can't do that. So you can say, even within our family, with the Toltec tradition, we're just in the third generation of being able to say it out loud. This is what I am. If I were to tell you I'm a Toltec 100 years ago, I would have been burned at the stake.